Episode 2: The Lost Map in Marrakech. What would you do if the one thing you were relying on, your guide, your plan, your map, suddenly vanished? It's terrifying, isn't it? Being lost feels like failure, like you've lost control. That's exactly what happened to me in Marrakech. I lost a map, but what I found in return was a lesson I never expected. A lesson about letting go, trusting myself, and realizing that sometimes being lost is the only way to truly find your direction. Marrakech is a city of color and chaos. The Medina, its beating heart, is a labyrinth of narrow streets that seem to twist and turn endlessly. For a first-timer like me, it was both exhilarating and overwhelming. The day had started with optimism. I had one goal: to visit the famous Jardin Majorelle, the legendary garden created by Yves Saint Laurent. I'd mapped out the route from my riad, a charming guest house tucked away in the Medina. The plan was simple: follow the map, take in the sights, and arrive by noon. But Marrakech had other plans for me. Somewhere between admiring a stall of fragrant spices, piles of saffron, turmeric, and paprika stacked like miniature pyramids, and dodging a donkey cart laden with crates of oranges, I realized my map was gone. I must have dropped it, or maybe someone had snatched it in the crowd. My heart sank. Without the map, I had no idea where I was. Every alley looked the same. Every turn led to another maze. I checked my phone, but there was no signal deep in the Medina. Panic started creeping in. The Medina seemed to close in around me. The vibrant colours and lively sounds that had enchanted me moments ago now felt oppressive. I was lost, not just physically, but in every sense of the word. And then I saw her, Amina. She was sitting behind a stall draped with scarves in every shade of the rainbow. Deep blues, fiery reds, shimmering silvers, they hung like waterfalls of colour. She looked up as I approached, her eyes warm and curious. "You look lost," she said, her voice calm and steady, as if being lost was the most natural thing in the world. I hesitated before nodding. "I was trying to find the Jardin Majorelle, but my map's gone." Amina smiled knowingly. "Ah, the garden, a beautiful place. But the Medina, it has a way of testing you first." She stood, smoothing her dress. "Come, I'll show you." I wasn't sure whether to trust her. My instincts told me to politely decline and try to figure it out myself. But something about her calm demeanour made me pause. Reluctantly, I nodded. As we walked, she talked about life in Marrakech. She told me how she had grown up in the Medina, how every alley and every corner felt like a friend. "It's like a dance," she said, "the way the streets move with you if you let them." I listened, half distracted by the sensory overload around me. Merchants shouted prices. The scent of freshly baked bread mingled with the aroma of spices, and the distant rhythm of a darbuka drum set a hypnotic beat. Amina moved through it all with grace, as if she belonged to the Medina's rhythm. At one point, we passed a small courtyard where a group of children played. One of them waved at her, and she waved back. "Do you see?" she said, turning to me. "The Medina isn't just a place. It's alive. It's speaking to you, but you can't hear it if you're too focused on where you're going." Her words struck me. How many times in my life had I been so focused on the destination that I missed the journey? So consumed by my plans that I forgot to look around? I started to see the Medina differently. The chaos wasn't chaos at all, it was life. The streets were alive with stories, with history, with connections waiting to be made. After what felt like an hour, Amina stopped at a crossroad. She turned to me and said, "This is as far as I go. The rest is yours to find." I froze. "Wait, what? You're leaving me here?" She nodded, her smile unwavering. "You don't need me anymore. Trust the streets. Trust yourself." Before I could protest, she handed me a scarf, vibrant green with golden threads running through it. "A gift," she said, "for the journey." And just like that, she disappeared into the crowd. At first, I panicked. I looked around, unsure which way to go. But then I remembered her words, "Trust the streets." So I did. I walked slowly, letting the flow of the Medina guide me. I stopped worrying about whether I was going the right way, and started noticing things instead. The sparkle of sunlight on brass lamps in a shop window, the laughter of a woman bargaining for a basket, the way the breeze carried the scent of orange blossoms. And then, as if by magic, I saw it, the cobalt blue walls of the Jardin Majorelle rising above the Medina. I had found my way. The garden was even more beautiful than I had imagined. Palm trees swayed gently in the breeze, bamboo shoots rustled softly, and the vibrant blue walls seemed to glow in the afternoon sun. I sat on a bench, wrapped in the scarf Amina had given me, and thought about what I had learned. Being lost wasn't the end of the world. It was the beginning of discovery. Losing my map had forced me to rely on something far more powerful, my instincts, my ability to adapt, and my willingness to trust the journey. And maybe that's the secret to navigating life too. You don't always need to know exactly where you're going. Sometimes you just need to take the next step and trust that the path will reveal itself. So, the next time you find yourself feeling lost, ask yourself this: what if being lost isn't a failure, but an opportunity to discover something new? Next week, we'll head to Paris at midnight, where a chance encounter reminded me of the courage it takes to dream again. Until then, remember, the journey is often more important than the destination.